Everyone. This is Tom, the prepper. How's everybody doing this evening? Or this afternoon, I should say. Today, we're going to do our live stream about uh, how you interact with animals, what your animal skills are, training and all that other stuff. Dealing with animals, it's something important preppers should have. But anyway, we're going to talk about that today. Well, I tell you what, we had a couple beautiful days where it was nice and cool, and now it's hot again, and the dogs are hating it. Anyway, such as that. Oh, the flies are just terrible on you, aren't they, boy? So anyway, but that's the summertime. So the other one's already in the house. This one's staying out here with me. Yep. But yeah, your relationship with animals, that's what we're going to talk about today. But we discuss something real quick here. I was watching some reactionary videos to the movies Full Metal Jacket and Saving Private Ryan from these groups. And, the thing about Full Metal Jacket, I'm a Marine, right? So I've obviously been through Marine Corps boot camp. And Marines laugh at that and stuff. And but watching it, the reaction to some people, last time I saw Full Metal Jacket, I was in the Marine Corps. Watch it with a bunch of Marines, you'll have a good time. But watching it and these civilians' reaction to it to see what, and that was just a movie. That still wasn't Marine Corps boot camp. And for most Marines, that's their easiest part of their 4 years. But to see their reaction to it and stuff, and it's crazy. But yeah, it was a fun time. I mean, I excelled in boot camp. I don't know, I had a good time with it. J99, how you doing? Did you have a good time when you were in boot camp? Were you writing your recruiter while you were in boot camp, telling him how much fun you were having? Or was I the only one in the military that ever did that? That shows you what kind of home life I had. Anyway, at least there I got yelled at, but I got paid for it. Yes, I did. Did you? I tell you what, everybody was hating the recruiter. They didn't get you into this mess, but I loved it. I was one of them. I excelled in boot camp and just kept excelling after that. And the military was good for me, but since our politicians decided that, when Clinton took office, we needed to downsize our service, I got some money and a thank you. So that's the way they treat it. I'm 19. Should I go to boot camp? Oh my God. Let me tell you something. If you go in, you're probably going to go to war. Let me tell you that right now. You're going to be in a situation, if you go into the Marine Corps ground side or the Army ground side, which you probably get stuck in unless you want to do something different. You're probably going to get in a situation where you got to kill somebody or be killed yourself or be maimed. You're going to see a lot of bad shit. But the service of your country is a good thing. But should you join? I don't even know how to answer that no more. Because I'm older now, I see the crazy shit they're sending their kids off to do. Is it to protect America or protect a bunch of people that are on a list that don't exist? You got to follow your heart, dude. And remember, when you make the decision, go through it 100%, through with it 100%, and become the best you can when you're in there. Don't shortchange yourself or the branch you're in or your unit, ever. But I can't decide for you, okay? I don't know what your motivations are. And, I've been out of it now for 31 years. Anyway, when you're a civilian and you get more time to think about what you did, because when you're in it, you're not thinking about it like that, you tend to have a problem. Our daughter joined after high school and felt called to. Yeah, this is the thing, okay? I don't believe we should ever have a draft. If there is a draft, they shouldn't be putting ground side units. You know why? Because no infantryman or anybody that's on the front line should have to be there with somebody that's forced to be there. If you got to draft them, put them in support units. But that, I just being on the ground side, I just don't think that's a good thing. Anyway, let's get into the subject today about your relationship with animals as a prepper. Very important skills to have. I'm sure as preppers, we all have dogs and stuff. What are you all able to do with that dog? Are you able to at least obedience train that dog? Get it to the point where it will mind you and listen to you? Do you know how the steps you do in steps? The first step in obedience training a dog for it to come when it's called, it's when it's a puppy and two people sit a certain distance apart and just call the dog back and forth. It gets to know its name and it comes with its name. Easy way to get a dog to come when it's called. But what about specialty training? Like obedience training. So when you obedience train a dog, you get it in a situation where it's always paying attention to you. You watch a dog when it's heeling next to its master, it's always watch it, always watch it. So when you make that move, it makes that move it has to with you. Okay? People always say, well, you need a leash. I say, I got an invisible leash on my dog. Hey, Wolf. Hi, Carol. How's it going? Hey, yeah, we're talking about my relationship with animals because, and Pete's got talking about my bear and looking through my pictures of Annie and stuff. Yeah, I used to have a black bear, okay? This is what I mean by getting to know animals and stuff. But anyway, the one dog I had for a while when I was in the service, when I got out, I had got her and I trained her really good and she turned into a search and rescue dog. And she actually did a couple jobs. She got ran over though, hit by a freaking semi doing 60 and a 25. But don't worry, I guess it's better than my dog than the neighbor's little girls, right? But anyway, I tell you what, when you do that type of training with a dog, you wonder why cops and stuff get so attached to their animals because it's a bonding that, well, let's just say ever since Princess and she died in 1994, I haven't been able to train a dog like that since then. Because look, it's been 31 years. To me, it's like I lost a daughter that day. So, I'm close to my dogs now, but it's not like, when I was out in Washington State and out there in Puget Sound and I'd have my wetsuit on and she'd sit there, she'd just a little puppy and I'd be swimming in the water and she'd be right behind, right in front of me. I'd swimming backwards, coming towards me and stuff. And then to the point where she was older and she'd fetching just some serious waves sometimes. And then when I'd go running out where I'd go running alongside the Puget Sound at Fort Casey and Fort Eby, I put the keys to the truck on her dog on her collar, because then I knew they wouldn't get lost. Anyway, she was pretty special. So anyway, that's one thing with dogs. You should at least know how to obedience train them, and very important. Very important. Anyway, and then I got my bear, right? My Annie. She was something else. Yeah, I got her when she was 8 weeks old. Her eyes were basically still closed. A bear, his front legs are longer than its back legs, and it can climb before it can walk. But anyway, she was the coolest thing to have, I thought. My wife at the time hated her. We had a little girl at the time. Annie was growing up with Samantha, and, Samantha was in her walker, with the toys in front. And Annie would sit there when Samantha wasn't in it. She would get in the walker and sit in there just like Samantha with her legs down, push herself around. Swear to God. Swear to God. One time, though, I got her bottles a little too hot, right? She took a drink of it, got pissed. Ugh. She took her paw. She didn't get me, but she got my pants all the way from the crotch all the way down to the bottom, one slice. Ripped it. So that's what happens if her bottles were too hot. But she was cool to have. You know, one thing why bears are so dangerous is because they're scared of everything. They're the biggest chicken shits in the world. Scared of everything. And their idea of they don't flee, they fight, okay? But that's why bears are so dangerous. That's why you never want to sneak up on one, because it'll turn on you. And the thing about a bear too, it can turn. So its face and its ass are beside each other. You know what I'm saying? Whoop, like a damn horseshoe. No shit. I remember one time her big thing was she would come up and run up behind me, and you know, I couldn't hear her. She's quiet as hell. I'd be walking through the yard or whatever. All of a sudden, she'd be grabbing me around from behind me. She'd be grabbing me around the waist, trying to drag me to the ground, and then she'd take off running, right? I said, okay, that's cool with that. You know, she's just her having her fun. Anyway, one time she was standing up next to a tree, and I snuck up on her, right? And she's standing up there, and I sit there and jab her in the ribs with my hands, fingers on both sides. Woo! That bear turned around, her stomach went to her shoulders, and And I thought, I am toast. And then she saw it was me, and she dropped to the ground. But I never did that again. No, I never did that again. And the nice thing about her is she had her tree. She lived on a farm up there in northern Minnesota, and she had her tree she sat in. And when a car would come up or whatever, perfect. I tell you what, a bear, if you, they take a lot of time, but a bear can be domesticated to where they're better than a dog. But she would come out of her tree and go up to greet the car. Nobody ever got out of their car. Boy, talk about never ever having to be robbed. You know, you can have a big ass dog in your yard, people might get out of their car. But if you got a bear in your yard, people aren't getting out of their car. That's just the way it is. I guess unless you're somebody who likes polar bears, right? Because polar bears are nice, cuddly bears, right? Some people believe it. Anyway, but yeah, that was my Annie. And like I say, black bears, just before they turn 2 and stuff, before the sow goes, get pregnant with some more cubs, or anyway, about 2 years old, she'll get them to climb a tree, black bears, and then she'll sit there and take off and never come back. And that's how these black bears get on their own. And she was like 2.5 years old, and going on one of our normal walks we went on and stuff, and one time she stopped, and we were on this path, and there was trees, of course, up in northern Minnesota, but there was like thick bushes or whatever, and she stopped and she looked at the thick bushes. Then she looked at me. Then she looked at the thick bushes again and looked back at me one more time and walked into the trees. Never saw her again. So anyway, I guess she was ready to go. But I always did raise her to be free. It's not like I ever had her locked up. There was no reason to. She'd never attack anybody. I mean, like I say, she was better behaved than the dog. It's just her appearance is what caused people, they don't, I never had to worry about being messed with. It was nice. Okay. But that was one of my exotic things. Always thought it'd be cool to have a lion, but big cats, I don't want to have to deal with having to feed them and stuff. Okay. One thing, Annie, right? Sunday mornings. What was her Sunday morning breakfast? A big old bottle, 5 waffles full of syrup and Lucky Charms. My Annie. That, you got to enjoy it sometime. Just us, okay? Hey, let me make you a moderator, sir. Impeach you, moderator. Yeah, you got me talking about my Annie and stuff. Oh, boy, didn't I have some hair back then in those pictures? Those pictures were, they must have been taken in 98, must have been. Yeah, it must have been 98. And I had a set of hair back then, huh? That's before my daughters turned teenagers. That's what happens after your daughters turn teenagers. I turn into this gray haired, silver haired. Oh my God, I'm losing my hair person. Oh, anyway, glad everybody can be here. But I got to cut it short because Bambi's going to be live and I got to figure out why she couldn't post on my chat on my live stream. That's bullshit. I tell you what, I got to have to sub to her again because they unsubbed me from her channel. My brother sat there and called me and told me he had to sub back on my channel because they unsubbed him and stuff. YouTube up to his same old games. Hey, what do you think? Think I need to sit here, start putting on makeup and stuff, run around out my grove in a dress? Yeah, that was weird. Looking sharp. It happened to me before. Yeah, I don't. The thing is, do they think we're this fucking stupid? I mean, I saw that screenshot you did of yours, right? God, you only got, don't even have 10,000 views, and you got fucking 100 and some subscribers? Dude, I got 350,000 views. And all I got is, well, I went backwards. I'm under 500 subscribers again. But, and then I got, I mean, are you kidding me? Whatever. The games they play. But I tell you what, it doesn't matter. It's not going to keep the truth hidden. Too many of us are waking up every day. Okay. Let's get back to the animals. Okay. Go from bears and then, I always wanted to be a cowboy, right? So in 2007, yes. In December 2007, when I was going through my divorce and I realized my second wife and I were never going to get back together and stuff. And I said, well, I'm going to follow a dream. Good way to get over that. So I went out to the mountains of Wyoming in the middle of winter and learned how to rope and ride. I already knew about cows and stuff, not out on the range cows, but like I say, I dealt with cows growing up, cattle yard and stuff, but that's way different than out there where all the babies come from. Those mamas are just a little bit more wild. But then I got to do my horse thing. And like Haney said, I basically knew how to get on top of a horse and not fall off when I first went out there. Yeah, I knew how to, I could ride horse before I could saddle one up and stuff. But when you're learning to be a cowboy and you work on a horse, it's just way different. It's just like somebody who sits there and rents a piece of equipment from a store, I don't know, like a backhoe to do a small job in their backyard or whatever, compared to somebody who sits there is in the big backhoe every day digging holes. And plus, when you're learning to be a cowboy, especially you learn on a cow horse. People say, what's a cow horse? A cow horse is a horse that's trained to work with cows. Okay, and they're good at it, and they're like a cow dog. They love working cows. Okay, horses can get very ambitious. You always know when you're on a cow horse because of fear. If you walk past the gate, they always want to go into that gate because that's where the cows are at. Even if you don't even know what's on the other side of that gate, they always want to go through the gate. But you get on a good cow horse, and like me, I had my Ricky, right? And he knew more about how a cowboy's supposed to move cows on a horse than I did. And I always had Haney, who had that third eye on me, watching every little thing. You can let that horse get away with that? You can let that horse get away with that? God, my God. Every little thing, if the horse looked at me wrong, you can let that horse get away with that? You ever ride bareback? Yes, I have. Glad you brought, because I tell you what, riding bareback is a new learning process than we're learning this running a saddle. When you ride in a saddle, most of the time, unless you just walk, you always want weight on the bottom of your feet. And when you're moving cows and moving fast, you're standing up in your saddle. You always have weight on the bottom of your feet. That horse can never buck you off if he doesn't get you in that negative G. And what I mean by that is getting your feet off the bottom of those stirrups. Use your hips and your ankles and your knees as your shocks, and that horse can go to town and not get you off. Anyway, but yeah, riding bareback, saying saddle, you put a weight on the bottom of your feet to stay stable. Now bareback's completely different, okay? I tell you what, you got pain from learning how to ride in a saddle, and you get pain from learning how to ride bareback. And I went through both, but I tell you what, there's nothing more free feeling than sitting there throwing a bridle on a horse, or even with me, just a halter and a lead rope on one side of his neck. I don't even have to have it on both sides on Kiowa's neck. That's who I rode like that. And just go off. But the thing is, just like scuba diving, having to sit there scuba dive with a wetsuit on sucks. But if you can just put fins on your feet, tanks on your back, and your mask on and go, you feel so much more free. Okay? But anyway, what were we talking about? Kiowa. The thing about bareback is when I ride, my horse sweats, okay? I mean, my horses have a lot of energy. I raise them to be spunky, to like to run and stuff. But when you ride bareback like that, even they get sweaty, you just get nasty, beyond nasty in the crotch. Just imagine. And then I'd start wearing shorts to try to, and it's just nasty. Now, I understand why Indians wore loincloths, but I think if I would have went to that, there might have been some type of law I was breaking if I would have been riding around in a loincloth. Or would everybody like to see a video of that? It's hard to rope for a little white. My pack was killing me. Maybe half-hour ride with the saddle. Bareback, totally different. Yeah, it's totally different. You gotta, like I say, when you're in a saddle, you're standing up. When you're bareback, you gotta move with the horse. But I tell you what, when you get bareback, and it's hard to learn how to ride, it hurts. Okay? But when you can get to the point where you can run full blast, the freedom is unreal. But like I say, I like riding a horse and my horse sweat. And that's nasty with bareback. If I were just to sit there and know I was going to go on a ride where I wasn't going to sweat, I don't take rides like that anymore. I don't take rides like that no more. I mean, my horses don't like it. Not that I run, okay? I trot. But then again, I got to exercise my horses too. But a horse can trot forever. You only run them when you have to. All right. We were out at the ranch out there in Wyoming. We ran cows on 280 square miles. We'd sit there and trailer for a half hour, and then we'd sit there and go another 7-8 miles to the cows. And then that was trotting the whole way. Well, Haney is on his little damn mare. And you weren't allowed to run your horse, lope your horse, keep up with them. Anyway, like I say, I earned every stripe I needed to when I was out on that horse. I thought I was going to be really easy. It's not. What was that, roping or riding? Yeah, well, this is why a lot of ranches are getting away from horseback. For one thing, they say it's cheaper to have a four-wheeler. I don't know how these stupid idiots wreck them all the time, but this is the modern ranching. This is the last ranch I came from. It was four-wheelers. And the ranch out in Wyoming where I learned how to ride horse was 10 times bigger than that one. But see, this is the thing. When you move cows and you're going to be in a hurry, it's not going to work. That's why all these people want to use four wheels, because it's faster. For who? When you move cows, especially if you're going to move them 10, 12 miles, you know, gather them up and then move them like the old West, you stretch them out, you get them 3 or 4 wide, and you stretch them out for a mile, whatever it is. You just walk. All these other, nowadays, everybody's in a hurry. You bunch them up and you keep pushing them and pushing them and pushing them. They don't understand working with nature, okay? But it's easier to teach somebody to ride a four-wheeler than it is a horse. Learn how to ride a horse, not an easy thing. Okay, learn how to, and then roping and bringing it all together. Like I say, I was out there in Wyoming, and I still had to sit there work on a horse. I didn't know what first fucking thing I was doing. And every night we'd come home and I go in that, we had an indoor and an outdoor arena. Well, it was wintertime. So in that indoor arena, I just kept doing circles and circles and circles and figure eights and doing everything to learn how to ride right. So I wouldn't come home hurting that day after we had been moving cows all day. You may be faster four-wheeler, but horses are beautiful animals. And this is another thing. I've never seen a cutting four-wheeler. What do I mean by that? That cow that you're having a fucking problem with, that's like bouncing back and forth. Anybody ever seen cutting horse tournaments and stuff? A four-wheeler can't jump back and forth. So she's just going to fuck around you. And once that cow gets around you once, you're screwed. See, but they're not teaching people like this is about dealing with animals. People don't understand dealing with animals. Like I could go out there and herd 350 yearlings by myself through the pasture, have them lined up, going into the next gate and the next pasture. That pastures are 2,000 acres by myself. And then other people, you could have 5 of them out there running around crazy, and you got cows running everywhere. I'm sure anybody who was on my old channel, you probably saw them, Carol. Of those videos of me moving cow. That one day I couldn't believe it. 350 yearlings. I'm just sitting on top of the hill. I'm not even pushing them. I just gathered them, gotten them all going in the right direction. They all just kind of stretched out, and we're walking where they needed to go. You don't get much better than that. But that's not the way things are done these days, okay? Because all about money, 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 money. I tell you what, ranching and farming are both getting stressful. But when they start taking the wheat field across the road from my place, I'm gonna do a video while I'm reading Paul Harvey's God Made a Farmer. It's like a 3-minute. I'm gonna read it because I don't want to download. They'll copyright the shit. But I'm gonna, like I say, when they're harvesting, which it should be any damn day. Usually they're done harvested, long gone by now. Okay, everything is about money and everything is about trash. I enjoy those videos. Yeah. Well, thank you, Carol. Yeah. I mean, okay. When I was in Minnesota, I had my youngest daughter still in the house, so I still was tied down where I couldn't do what I wanted to do, would be free, right? Well, anyway, that's when Shameless was big, right? I hate that fucking show so bad. My kids just loved it. And it seemed like every time I walked into the room when they were watching it, had to be in one of the most sickest fucking scenes there was. Boy, has TV changed from when I was a kid. Sure ain't Gilligan's Island and the Flintstones no more, is it? But don't mention God. That could go overboard. That's another thing on this channel while everybody's here. I'm going to have Prepper Sunday morning church at 8 o'clock in the morning Mountain Time. I'm not an ordained minister, but let's see what kind of hate I can get, okay? Because I think our ordained ministers are starting to go, well, I trust them as much as I trust the doctor these days, okay? They keep trying to fill us full of shit. You know, one thing about religion, God's still in charge. You want to know what's going to be like? Read the Old Testament. Jesus was seated at the right hand of God, not on God's throne. So anyway, still fire and brimstone, everybody. It's just, hey, nowadays God don't have to bring it on. We're going to do it ourselves. So I hope everybody's prepping. All right. Hey, you're talking about that. I ain't got much time to go because I don't want to miss Bambi's live stream. Anyway, I'm going to find out what the hell went on. Carol, if that's something you could look into. If last night, did you see any reason why Bambi should have been blocked? I don't even know how to block anybody, but I go up on that screen and it says where I can block words, but I've never blocked, I'd never block anybody. Okay, these people come in and they put it on 60-second delay and have my moderators in there. They say they're one stupid comment. We never see them again. But I don't know why Bambi would be blocked. Just these fucking games YouTube plays. And then me not having to resub to her. I mean, is there a reason why they don't want me and Bambi to sit there and be able to watch each other's content and comment on each other's content? What the fuck? Anyway, that's the world we deal with. And this is why everybody better get prepped up. All right? Like I say, this is my backyard, everybody. That's my fire pit I just did. There's the field. Then the road's out there. I got a field behind that'll be planted into wheat this September. And then there it is. And that weedy place I'm going to save for the animals and stuff. And that place right there, I'm going to leave it kind of long too, so the animals have something to hide in. Give them a little chance from my dogs. But I know it's not like being out at the ranch. Yeah, Peach, I'm not out at the ranch no more. I sat there and told Jerry, I said, that was the old man. I said, hey, I don't want to raise this year. I just want time off because I want to get into, I need time for my YouTube stuff and shit. He goes, the old man was okay with that. And then his kid that's 28 years old wanted me to work like a 25-year-old's 80 hours a week. And he goes, well, you're on salary. I said, really? I'll just go find another job then. I mean, that's what these morons do with good employees. But anyway, got me into where I get to do my fencing on my own, so I started my own little business until YouTube picks up and I can get monetized, and I can go from there because I got lots of plans for YouTube. I want to make people laugh. I got lots of ideas. I may need some actors. So anybody think what kind of character you could play in a sitcom and come up with it, because that's where this channel's headed. I'm going to make people laugh. I'll use comedy to get the message through if I have to, but I just need more money for that, because then I have to devote all time to YouTube so I can do the writing, the producing, all that shit. Okay? It won't take a lot of money, but it's going to take a lot of time. And then just, I'll tell you, I mean, have you seen Red Green? Peach, have you ever seen Red Green before? That's the type of show I'm talking about. Whether, I know it's not going to be Possum Lodge or nothing like that, but if you haven't seen it, go to YouTube and watch Red Green Show. It was a PBS show from Canada. It's just, it's better than great, okay? They tried to get him so bad. The big studios tried to get him so bad to try to get him to go big time. And he refused to. So, you know, he's one of them that stood up and said, take your bag of money and shove it right up your ass. And yeah, go to the Red Green Show. Red Green Show. Just YouTube it once. And like I say, it's go visit Possum Lodge, okay? Start with like episodes in they had 300 episodes, right? It ran for 15 years. But you go to like the episodes like around, I don't know, season 9 or 10, like around episode 180, around there. School Bus Blimp. I mean, the guy who plays Graham Greene, who played what part did he play? He played the medicine man in Dances with Wolves. What was his name again? What the hell was his Kicking Bird? He's in there and stuff, but it's just a good. I mean, you'll like it. Believe me, Impeach, you will like it. It is a man show, okay? A man show. But you know, as it developed through the years, it just got better. It's not one of those shows that got worse as it got more into it. It got better. I have trouble finding stuff on YouTube. Bambi and me. Bambi sent me the link channel. I wouldn't be surprised if Bambi watches it. Oh yeah, I got so many ideas. So many ideas on ways to help the world out in a way without pissing everybody off, making them laugh. That's always a good cure, right? Laughter, especially when you can laugh at yourself. Anyway, but that's my plans for that. I like real men who don't wear skinny jeans. Hey, I don't know what I say. Men are not masculine. These boys are not turning out to be masculine anymore. Okay. So I don't know who's going to take our spots because all these other countries are raising masculine men who know what their role is in society. Okay, we've kind of lost that way. And when I was watching those reactions to our boot camp, Marine Corps boot camp, and they were so shocked. Yeah, this is what you have to do to get some. I mean, I look at that, right? And I was one of them. Just like you, J99, when you went to boot camp, we were just these scared civilians that didn't know what the hell was going to happen. And then everything just kind of formed around us. And now we can look at that, oh, it's no big deal. And then we can watch a movie like Saving Private Ryan, the beach scene, and not be crying. I mean, these people that are watching Saving Private Ryan, the beach scene, oh my goodness gracious. They're not ready for that type of shit in this country, okay? People in America do not understand what all this money that we're sending for weapons of war and stuff to these other countries, what it's turning these other countries into. Anyway, that's a subject for another day. The world changed, Tom. I know. I don't like it either. I don't like it. You know, we're dealing with the same stuff our parents dealt with. I mean, can you imagine growing up in the 1940s, 1930s, and dealing with kids in the 1980s? We must have seemed like total lunatics to them. But we still worked hard. We're still demanded stuff out of it. Still weren't allowed to lie. Still were held accountable for what you did and shit like that. But I guess it's no different than the way we look at kids now 40 years later. 70s and 90s were the best days. Yeah, because you know why? Because the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s were the pinnacle of this country. Education-wise for our children. Freedom-wise for everybody, okay? Well, even our parents say we weren't as free. Before the downfall started happening. We the brightest educated, number one educated in the world. Now we're 33rd by today's standards. By our standards, how do these kids pass an SAT or ACT? They couldn't pass the one I took. People graduating school don't even know who we won our independence from. France is a favorite answer. Anyway, just another reason why you need to prep, everybody. Because, if you're like me between 50, your late 40s and your mid 60s, okay, in 20 years, 30 years, there ain't going to be nobody to take care of us. So you better get healthy as you can, as self-sufficient as you can. Because, all these kids now, how many times have you been called a boomer? I'm not even a boomer and I get called a fucking boomer. I'm a Gen Xer. But then again, they hate us too. But these people don't stand a chance, okay? With the skills that we grew up with prepping, that are prepping skills now, was every day getting out of bed, making sure you got that done every day. Strangeness. But I know America's not ready for any type of total destruction to this country, especially wars, okay? Seeing these reactions. Anyway, I'm glad I was in the service. I'm, in a way, glad I experienced what I experienced, because I didn't realize that in the future it would be an asset to me. Fucking A. How am I supposed to retire in this shit? Anyway, stay well, Tom and chat. Okay, hey, I gotta go. I gotta get to Bambi's live stream. I think I'm actually late. So, and I think you need to get there too, Impeach. So I'm gonna get off of here. Everybody have a great day. Thanks for being here. And I'll see some of you on my live stream tonight on Hidden Truths. But anyway, this is Tom, the Lone Wolf Prepper. I'm out of here.